Linux Action Show is created by Jupiter Broadcasting. It's sponsored by Ting. Go to last.ting.com to save off your first device or plan. And DigitalOcean. Go to digitalocean.com and use the promo code Here's the Thing, all one word like you're slurring it, and spin up your own Linux rig for free. And Linux Academy. Go to linuxacademy.com/unplugged and invest in your mind while saving some money. Welcome to Linux Action Show episode 459. My name is Chris.
And my name is Noah.
Hello there, Noah, live from SCaLE in Pasadena. It's good to have you here, sir. I'm glad this all worked out. In fact, we have a really fun episode. Noah is live in Pasadena at this year's SCaLE 15X. We've got interviews from System 76, CoreOS, QNAP, and Blackbird, Black Duck, which is a great one because it's live right there on the floor while Noah is in the middle of uploading clips to us, and he just grabs Skype and does it. Also, later on in the news, there is a big story that I am so excited about that I actually purchased some hardware in anticipation of this news. Speaking of hardware, there's a couple of big new laptop initiatives from company you know and companies you've heard of but aren't traditionally known for shipping Linux. And then the Mycroft project is back in the news with really, really great news. We'll tell you what's going on over at Mycroft. Then we've got the feedback, but at the end of the show, there's like a little bit of dessert, like the cherry on top. Do you know what we've got, Noah?
Let's hear. Not feedback, picks. We have picks.
You got it, Noah. We got the picks. That's right. That's all coming up on this week's episode of the Linux Action Show. So before we get into that, I want to thank Linux Academy for sponsoring this episode of the Linux Action Show. Go over to linuxacademy.com/unplugged. I went over to the Linux Unplugged podcast, bunch of jerks over at that show, and I punched that Chris guy in the face, whoever he is, and I took his Unplugged discount and brought it over to Linux Action Show to empower your mind with knowledge. linuxacademy.com/unplugged. You go there to support the show, and you sign up for a free 7-day trial. This is a platform to learn more about Linux, with hands-on lab, scenario-based stuff that gives you real experience. Instructor mentoring when you need it from real human beings. Learning paths, which are a series of courses and content planned by instructors for specific tracks in your career, and a community stacked full of Jupiter Broadcasting members. And they're at SCaLE this year, booth 303. So if you're still there, if you're in the Pasadena area watching this show live, which some of you may be, check it out. Go to booth 303 and say hey to the folks at Linux Academy. Look at the size of that plush tux. That's crazy cool. That is crazy cool. linuxacademy.com/unplugged. That's your landing place to support the show, get a 7-day trial, and just check this thing out. Linux Academy is in a real sweet spot of sort of the influx of new staff to bang out new content, existing instructors to make things great, and a funding model which is really taking off, and a great value. Check it out. So that's more than a trifecta. Is that like a five-fecta? I lost count. Why don't you go count it yourself at linuxacademy.com/unplugged? And a huge thank you to Linux Academy for sponsoring the Linux Action Show. But the real story is that Mr. Noah is there live at SCaLE. So Noah's live at SCaLE. We're live over at jblive.tv, streaming on this Sunday. Let's get a sense of what it's like for Noah down there at SCaLE.
So basically, so the vibe of SCaLE has changed a little bit. And I'm not exactly sure of all the reasons, but essentially it's a little bit more commercial this year.
Oh, really?
You've seen a much of an uptick of people. Past years, you've got a lot of people in that have like mohawks, and they have they're wearing kilts, or they're wearing it's very anti-establishment, right? And this year you're seeing a lot of people in like dress shirts and khakis, or dress shirts and dress pants. You've got a lot of people that are walking around. The booths have gone down significantly. The booths that are here seem to be they're recruiting, or they're large enterprise places like Red Hat and Rackspace and stuff like that. And it shows too in the clientele. In the past years, every single night there has been something going on outside of actual SCaLE, right? So there has been like a bunch of people going out for pizza, or the Cars.com guys took us out one night for drinks. This year, after it's game night, and of course aside from game night, there's a lot of people that are going out and doing things. This year, I could not find anyone that wanted to do something outside of the actual official SCaLE game night thing that is happening here at the hotel. It did not seem like there was a lot of stuff going on outside. Last night was pretty decent, and I had a chance to. It was okay because that gave me a chance to hang out with some fans, and we all went out and got dinner and stuff.
Oh, good.
And and I learned some of their intimate secrets of
Dun dun dun.
of essentially how they're grabbing some secret JB content. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no. So that kind of stuff happened. But it is there's definitely a shift here that we've not seen in previous years, and it makes me wonder if places like Linux Fest Northwest don't have an opportunity here
Yeah.
to grab some of that community traffic that's no longer coming to SCaLE, and if that landscape isn't shifting a little bit. LinuxCon, OSCon have not been, they travel all over the place. SCaLE is always in the California area, and of course, there's a lot of tech jobs here, and so it's been very interesting to see the attendance shift of people that are showing up now that are looking for jobs, that want to be in that corporate space, in that large enterprise Fortune 500 type space, as opposed to the grungy hacker types that are coming here. And you still have
people doing the work.
of those too.
So one of the things I noticed is just by watching on the live stream and the social network flows was Thursday was seemed like a ghost town there.
Yep.
Didn't seem like most of the rooms weren't really all that full. Hardly anyone taking pictures and posting. The attendance seemed really low on Thursday. Did you have any sense of that?
I wasn't here on Thursday, but Friday the attendance was far lower than it was on Saturday. Saturday was a huge uptick. Friday I was able to walk around the conference hall. I was able to go talk to people and stuff. Saturday it got to a point where you couldn't walk up and down an aisle without people bumping into you. And so I think the attendance was there. I think really what it turned out to be was that there's a lot of people that weren't going to take off work on Thursday or Friday, and so they were here Saturday, and of course Sunday. In past years, this is another great example. On Sunday, past years, everyone had been packing down by 11:30, 12. It's now 3 here, and there are people. I'm sorry, it's 1:58, and people. There's still most of the booths are here. There's a couple that have packed up, but most of the people are still here and presenting. And so that seems to be a change from past years as well.
Yeah, I noticed that some of the attendees that I've been following on Twitter seem to be leaving today. But how's the overall area? Is it warm down there? Is it nice?
Yeah, it's great. So I left, 10 below zero weather.
Yeah.
And landed here at 80 degrees.
Yeah.
And 78 degrees. And so yeah. And it's interesting. I'm actually the way the timing works out. Just these couple months are going to be crazy for NOAA time. I was on an anniversary, event with my wife last week. I landed from Tokyo at 11 something and boarded a plane at 5 a.m. to come here. And now I will go home. I'll be home for 48 hours, and then I will be back in California because we're doing a family vacation with my wife's father-in-law, or my father-in-law, my wife's father, back here in LA on Wednesday.
And then you're coming up to Seattle on the way back. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it won't be that long before, because I usually come out quite a bit early for Linux Fest.
I know it is coming up
before I'll be there. Now, because due to the fact that it is they've delayed Linux Fest, they put it in May now. That gives us, and I already slated a lot of time in April. Probably will give me more time to be out in Seattle, in April time to.
It's good,
to start.
Because I got some things I got to show you. I haven't told you about it because I just.
Sure.
You might not visit if I tell you, but you can help when you get here. So back to SCaLE. Back to SCaLE. Give me some other metrics. Give me some other feels. What's it like? Give me the flows.
So, I would say the big talk of the entire conference, the big thing that everyone's talking about is System 76 and their release of their new Ultrabook.
Nice.
Pretty much every booth I go to, somebody is talking about it. Somebody has at least mentioned it. I go to places that they have MacBooks lined up along their table, and I don't even bring it up. I'm not talking about it. I'm thinking about doing an interview, and they'll talk about it, and they'll say, the thing is, it's kind of interesting. I'm at SCaLE this year, and I don't know if you saw, but there's this company called System 76, and they're making a all aluminum Linux laptop that is less than this MacBook Air that I have, and has more features, and the build quality is fantastic. And as I go booth to booth, and I kind of saw that going, and I went back to System 76. I said, we got to talk about this more in depth, because you really have a product here, and it's kind of the buzz here, and that's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because System 76 has up until now has been a respected company because they are filling a niche. They are filling I need a Linux laptop. Now it seems as if with this new product, they have ventured into the space of legitimately competing with Apple, just on a raw level. Even if you don't care about Linux, you just want a solid.
Yeah. To me,
Ultrabook.
it seems like two things, dude. It seems like first thing is you don't actually have to build a MacBook killer anymore because Apple is killing the MacBook themselves with the price, the 16 gigs of RAM, and the battery life. They are losing on competitive. Oh, and the old GPUs. They're losing on competitive. What they still have is industrial design and super fast SSDs. That's pretty great, right? But other people can build those things. So while the MacBook's becoming a lower bar, you also have that market that's looking at the alternative saying, well, I just need an X amount of RAM, and I need a terminal, and I need to get my work done, and I don't really want my operating system to be tugged around by the corporate tax strategy, depending on whatever they're into this decade. And I think a lot of people are starting to look around, and System 76 is picking a really good time to step up to a level that is competitive on a build and design level. But even I think it's a disservice to say it's comparing to the MacBook because the MacBook can only have 16 gigs of RAM and it has an old GPU. So in some senses, it already outclasses the MacBook.
And I don't want to ruin any of the interviews that I captured, but one of the interesting things about this new the new Galago is that it has external GPU. So you have they have a device that you can plug a desktop grade GPU into, and then it has a connector that plugs into this laptop, and you can have one of these at in your RV, you could have one of these in your office, and when you need to sit down and do some video editing, you plug in your external GPU, and now you have NVIDIA GPU, and when you're out on the road, you have 15-hour battery life because it's this tiny little Ultrabook on Intel graphics, and
that's going to be a game changer.
That's a feature that just isn't offered by most manufacturers.
You know what? No, so, let's roll that interview right now.
Obviously, one of my favorite booths at the SCaLE Expo. We're here with James with System 76.
Hello.
James, how's it going?
Excellent, thank you. How you having fun today?
I was having fun just going through the conference, but then I got to your booth and I started playing with your toys. Now I'm really having fun. Tell me about your new lineup, and then I want to talk about that thing.
That thing in specific is our brand new Galago. We have released several systems here recently. Our brand new 96-core ARM server. Thing is a beast. It'll hold up to a terabyte of RAM and push it through on 96 threads. That guy we debuted yesterday at the keynote Thursday morning. Then we've also released our brand new IBEX GPU server as well. So about 3 weeks ago, an 8 GPU, 2U server with, I believe it's 40,000 CUDA cores in it right now.
Wow.
All the way to, crunch any amount of data that you might want to process.
So, and you guys are, you're updating your laptop lineup. I know you have the new Oryx Pro. I have the first generation of the Oryx Pro. This one has an upgraded keyboard. You also have an upgraded digital audio system that is on the side of it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we've got a new digital audio system. It's got an SPDIF out, optical audio out, full high-quality Sound Blaster DAC in it. Texas Instruments, I think, did the chips on it. Also has a brand new shiny backlit keyboard, completely software independent. Color cycles through about 8 or 10 different colors. Gorgeous. It's fun to play with.
And you guys made a bunch of changes to the ODM hardware to make sure that works flawlessly right out of the box with Linux because it's being handled at the hardware level, not some stupid software thing that's hacked onto the top.
Yeah, exactly. We had issues initially with the DAC not functioning correctly, so we went back up to upstream. We did several rounds with them saying, we have to hit the pins in this certain fashion, the kernel needs to be able to talk to it this way, and they changed things around for it, so now it works flawlessly out of the box. It's been wonderful.
That's fantastic. And you have one more. Is this is a 14 inch? This is the
14-inch Lemur laptop that we've got right now. This is our Traveler. This is our mainstream model. Comes with either an i3 or an i7 and probably has one of the longest battery lives out of our system. We're looking probably about 6 hours on a good full charge right now.
Okay. Outstanding. And all of these laptops, except for the Galago are for sale right now?
Oh yes, everything is for sale except for the Galago. Galago will be out in April, so only 2 more short months. We've got a few more features we want to put on that thing, and then the whole public can have it.
How about the ARM server? Is that available for purchase right now?
ARM server is shipping right now. You can purchase it today, 6 to 10 business days, and we will ship it, and you will have it in your business or home immediately.
You got a ballpark of what that server runs?
Yeah, I think it's right around 6,500, I want to say. Definitely our website's the best place to see all of our prices. Everything's laid out, everything's highly configurable.
Mm-hmm. And what is your target audience for that ARM server? What are you looking to tackle with that exactly?
Oh, we don't know yet. We found a niche. We found a place where they said, here's ARM servers, here's what we can do with this. We said, we're going to get one of those, and we're going to put one of those in market. So right this second, I'm not sure who's going to use it, but I'm guessing that we will be surprised.
We don't know what it's for, but we're going to make sure that it's available from System 76, and we'll put our name on it, we'll put our stamp on it, we'll put our support behind it.
Definitely. It's amazing what the architecture can do. It's amazing to watch 96 cores cook along. It's amazing to see a highly threaded process to really utilize this software. It can really push some data through it.
Now, as System 76 as a company, your team is growing, right? Like, you've been here for just over under a year, just over a year?
Just right at a year now myself, yeah. We're up to 15 people now, I believe. So several recent hires this last year. It's been a wonderful period of growth, and we're actually looking to get into manufacturing our own systems now. We're searching for warehouse space, and we've just purchased several high-grade machining equipment, some high-grade lasers, and we're going to start making our own desktop.
You guys have built a name on taking less profit so that you can provide a cost-effective product to your customers. And now what you're telling me is you're going to be cutting out that middleman so you can bring that profit, you can bring that price down even lower and provide a more cost competitive product without sacrificing any quality, actually really probably upping quality because you'll be tooling all of this yourself, and quality control is then in-house. You're going to be making those computers right here in the United States.
I know, isn't that amazing? American manufacturing here in Denver, Colorado. We're going to put these things together, we're going to design it, and we're going to listen to everybody that talks to us too. We've got some amazing designs right now, and it's not going to be anything that you've seen before. It's going to be a desktop first, and it's going to not look anything like you've seen before.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely outstanding. And you guys have a long track record of doing a really good job behind your customers. We're really excited to see where you guys go forward. Anything else that you want to share or, about the direction of System 76 or new things that might be coming up?
Well, this brand new Galago is definitely worth sharing about. It is one of the lightest systems we have. It only weighs 1.3 pounds. This thing is lightweight and portable. It's got an aluminum chassis. It's going to be very durable and travel worthy. And we are going to put a 4K screen in it. I mean, this thing is going to look awesome because of the high DPI and the extra resolution gained by it.
Fantastic. That looks absolutely outstanding. I'm really excited to see where this goes. I think this is a direction that a product that people have really wanted for a long, long time. I'm glad to see you guys getting into this. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks for all you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming by.
Man, that laptop does look crazy nice, Noah. So you got to hold it. It felt good. It felt solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was actually the first thing, because everyone was talking about it at SCaLE. It's one of the first things I did was when I got into the expo hall, I went over there and I said, wherever that laptop is, I want to look at it. They handed it to me. I looked at it. I spent probably 40 minutes to an hour playing with it, and then
Good man. Good man.
Tried to steal it from him, but it's whatever you think it looks like, or whatever you think I've described it like in the show, it's better in real person. In real life.
I can't wait. I want to review unit. So there's a project that we haven't talked to for a long time on the show, and Noah had a chance to get an update from Core OS. Is there anything we need to know before we jump into this interview?
No, they're just they're great people, and it's very interesting.
All right, we're here at SCaLE, and one of the booths I had to go say hi was Mike and Ryan from the Core OS team. Now, Core OS is one of those projects that has been very interesting over the last few years because it kind of tackles almost that universal Linux problem, right? How are you guys doing today?
So we're doing great. Thanks for asking. This is an exciting time here at SCaLE. We got the opportunity to teach a workshop on Kubernetes yesterday for about 4 hours, and there was a packed room of over 120 people. There's people sitting in the aisles in the back, and overall the energy was just really positive. A lot of people learned amazing things about Kubernetes, how to manage container workloads, and how CoreOS fits into all of this. So I'm having a great time. Ryan, what do you think?
It's been a great show so far for us. I think it's really cool to see all the enthusiasm about this move towards containers and making it practical for folks to really get their hands on this technology and give them solid next steps on how to be productive with containers. So yeah, it's been really a lot of fun.
What cool things are coming up from CoreOS? What cool things are you guys working on that we can look forward to?
I think main thing to keep note of is if you're familiar with CoreOS Linux, we've rebranded that as CoreOS Container Linux. Okay. So search for us as Container Linux now if you're looking for the Linux distribution. Other than that, our main focus lately has been building great products around Kubernetes, the kind of distributed solution for running lots of machines and scheduling your containers across that cluster. And it provides a lot of great features like auto healing when particular workloads or even a whole nodes fail. We'll be able to, repair those workloads or reschedule them on other available nodes. Things like automatic security updates are something we're trying to provide. And Mike had a great demo about our Tectonic solution yesterday at the end of the workshop.
Tell me about that.
So Tectonic is CoreOS's product around pure upstream Kubernetes delivered to the user with additional enterprise features that are missing out of the core project today. And in that Tectonic product, we not only allow you to consume Kubernetes literally upstream, but it's so close to upstream that we're really trailing upstream by 2 weeks. We're not a fork of Kubernetes. We just package it in a particular way that allows us to deliver self-driving infrastructure and updates to the platform, so that way people are using the latest and greatest from Kubernetes, as well as the enterprise features that they need to really kind of power their organizations. And one of the main things that we are really focusing on in Kubernetes, aside from just enabling that on the CoreOS stack, is really about bringing the self-updating nature that CoreOS, the container Linux distro, is known for, to the overall higher stack around Kubernetes. So we can deliver self-updates to not only the distro itself, but the container platform manager, Kubernetes, on top of it. So we can do the full stack self-updating in a way where Patch Tuesday is a thing of the past. And so really you can just focus on maintaining your server workloads and really bringing Giphy, what we call Google infrastructure for everybody else, and enabling that in the public so that people can have the same tools that folks like Google have had internally, but now they can now use it to revamp their stacks, make sure that they can cut down on costs in terms of infrastructure, and they can really be putting the developers and the ops folks to do more productive things like writing software that's pertinent to their organizations as opposed to managing software, which is a very tedious and manual task that unfortunately has plagued the industry with numerous 3 a.m. phone calls around PagerDuty issues and whatnot. So it's really about making sure that we can deliver that self-driving infrastructure in a way that is novel and new, but at the same time that it works with pure upstream play. We're very huge on open source at CoreOS. A lot of the tooling and documentation we have and our products are open source. We're huge into that community, and we want to make sure that not only are we staying true to that nature, but that we're doing it in the right way where folks can just literally just kind of set it and forget it. And that's really the path that we're on. We have a lot of work to do in terms of making sure that this stuff is truly hands-off, but we're getting there closer and closer every single day.
That's fantastic, and thank you very much for being so committed to open source. You speak a lot about Kubernetes. For somebody that doesn't know, exactly what is a Kubernetes?
So Kubernetes is your platform for managing container workloads. And so in short, Google has been basically using containers for the last 10 to 15 years internally to manage Borg. Borg is their system where everything from Gmail to Google Maps to all the products that you've known and loved from Google have run, and that's managed all in containers. And they deploy containers about to 2 billion containers a week. So that infrastructure, as you can imagine, every time that one of us signs into Gmail or one of us signs into Google Maps, these are workloads and processes that are being spun up in the background. And there's a lot of them. And so when you extrapolate that across an entire globe, right, of people who are using these products, these workloads get hard to manage. So you really need a platform that allows you to declaratively describe how you want to run your software, how you want to manage its lifecycle, and on top of that, how do I actually manage all of these containers at large scale across a massive distributed cluster. So Kubernetes is, in short, a way to manage containers in a very efficient way that provides you with many levers and knobs to tweak to your customization depending on how you actually want to run your applications.
Nice. Have the goals and objectives for CoreOS changed since you guys started? Have you guys pivoted? I mean, so when I started, you said that now look for us as CoreOS container. Has that pivoted at all?
I think we've kind of doubled down on our focus around Kubernetes and really started to focus a lot more specifically around what we can do in that space to make Kubernetes easier to deploy, easier to manage, easier to update. Our workshop yesterday was really kind of we used a local development version of Kubernetes called Minikube, a very small scale, so everyone could get their hands on it and try that kind of basics in a small scale environment. but really deploying a large cluster is really the purpose of Kubernetes, and we want to make it as easy and as painless as possible to get those clusters provisioned and to manage them over time. So we've really been razor focused on those goals.
Outstanding. Mike and Ryan from CoreOS, where can people find you if they want more information?
CoreOS.com and CoreOS on Twitter as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're here live at SCaLE, impromptu, and interestingly enough, yesterday I went around the floor, I was doing interviews all day, and turns out there are 2 microphone jacks on the camera, and one of them, it records normally, as you expect. The other microphone jack, it turns out, doesn't record at all. That's a great feature. Thank you, Canon. And so there's a couple of interviews that I actually lost. One of them was with Black Duck Software, and so as it turns out, they were kind enough to provide me with a wired internet connection so I could actually upload these clips. And so I'm standing with Tim here again from Black Duck Software. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Hey, Noah. We're doing well.
Great. So tell me all the things that you told me yesterday when my equipment failed.
So let's see. So Black Duck Software is in the business of open source risk management. And for us, that means things like license compliance. So we started out as a company, call it a dozen plus years ago, looking at the obligations that are associated with a given set of open source licenses. So that was back in the days when GPL, very, very scary. Why would we want to? Today, it's more about being aware of the true obligations associated with using a given piece of componentry that you're getting from wherever in the upstream ecosystem and being truly compliant to its requirements. So have you put together an MIT license correctly? Have you created the notice file associated with Apache licenses? If you've got the give me a beer license, did you give me a beer? That kind of things. Mm-hmm. That's one piece of risk. Commercial entities really care about that, particularly when they're going through things like having a new VC round, private equity coming in, and mergers and acquisitions type thing, or bringing in a third-party component where lawyers start to get a little skittish about exactly what open source is. They understand commercial licenses really well, but open source ones are, you would expect today, kind of well understood, but they're not necessarily there. Second thing is around security vulnerabilities in open source. So if I had a commercial hunk of software, I'd go and let's just take Microsoft as an example. They would produce an advisory for something that would say, here's my update. It comes out on Patch Tuesday, and I go and I do what I need to do. And I know that Microsoft has tested it the way that they would normally test it, and the world's a happy place because Microsoft is taking responsibility for it. In an open source world, we've got forks, we've got derivative works, we've got all of these things where goodness comes into existence. And it's the responsibility of both the upstream creators and the downstream consumers to actually be up to speed on stuff. And so that creates a real challenge when a vulnerability is disclosed that, does this impact me? Does it not? I've got a fork. I've got something that's coming in as a derivative work. I've got a transient dependency 6 levels deep. Do I actually have an impact on it? We're able to highlight all of that.
Sure.
And the third thing is what we refer to as operational risk. And operational risk is really about being tied to a version of a component. So I make a point in time decision that I'm going to include a version or a commit ID of a given component. That's a point in time decision. Hopefully there's still ongoing development, and at some point that rubber band is going to stretch out and I need to resolve it. There might be API changes and so forth that are part of the normal development cycle, and we would see it in there. Or maybe I chose a branch that I thought was really, really cool because it said master, not realizing that all of the new cool features were going on the V2, and in fact, my master was dead. So being able to have that kind of information is also part of having a proper open source risk strategy.
Awesome. And you said that, yesterday when we were talking, you were talking about how a lot of people get their responsible disclosures from given news sources or given vectors. And sometimes that's not always the best idea. Talk about that a little bit.
So the question that I've been asking a lot of people coming up to the booth is, would you rather get your security information from Hacker News or NIST, the National Institutes of Science and Technology?
I prefer Hacker News.
So if you've got your information coming from Hacker News, what you're really looking at is a website that is in the business of driving traffic to itself for its advertisers and generating revenue. Nothing wrong with that at all. They, however, are going to choose the things that are going to generate the greatest number of eyeballs So something like, say, Dirty Cow, gee whiz, Linux versions for the last X years are all impacted. That's going to be a huge deal. It's going to generate a lot of activity. And that's a good thing. And it's a really good thing when you think about that the National Vulnerability Database, which is what NIST is all about, might be latent. So you want as much awareness out there. In the case of Dirty Cow, that specific CVE information didn't come out until close to 3 weeks later. Now, the real problem is that while you're going to get, for practical purposes, almost everything through NIST, but it might take a while, Hacker News isn't going to take everything. So Dirty Cow is going to suck up a lot of bandwidth and a lot of eyeballs and attention to the exclusion of other things. So if you're only getting your information from Hacker News, you're going to be missing stuff that might be relevant to your environment. And that's why you want an organization like Black Duck who is monitoring for all of this type of activity. Our knowledge base is one of our most prized assets. It's about a half a petabyte Hadoop cluster at this point, with commit activity going back a dozen or so years for a variety of projects measured in millions, that all of the branches associated with that. And we take that information, the commit information, and marry it up against the event information coming from roughly about 9,000 different web sources to give you a very clear picture on what the risk is associated with a security vulnerability. That the net of which is that we might actually be able to tell you about a problem before it hits the wire, not because we're somehow subverting things, but because we can marry the pieces of data and just be faster. And so you could be in a position where your boss comes to you and says, aha, I saw this vulnerability on this news source, Big Hacker News, and it sounds like it's really scary, and do we have an issue? And you can go and say, we did. We fixed it a couple hours ago, and that's because we had Black Duck,
Right.
which is awesome.
Sure. Yeah, or a couple days ago in the case of NIST, right?
Or a couple of weeks ago in the case of NIST. And the timeline for Dirty Cow was actually really interesting for us because all the press really hit on the 20th and 21st of October. NIST didn't have anything material until 10th of November or so. That had Halloween. We had one of our sales account managers dress up as Dirty Cow as her Halloween costume. So would you rather have that gap where somebody can be walking around dressed up as like a bovine individual with like mess on them and you don't know why?
Yeah. For sure. So and we went into this a little bit yesterday, but so if you have so Black Duck software it's not necessary. It is both a service and a software stack. Is that correct?
Correct. So we have what we refer to as on-demand, which will go and do the audits like the venture capitalist stuff that I mentioned before. But there's also the product component. And the product component today is called Black Duck Hub. And it's really three pieces of technology. There's the knowledge base, which we host, largely because A, we're able to update it on an as-needed basis, and B, because you probably don't want us shipping you a half a petabyte or 500 terabytes worth of data on an as-needed basis. The hub server itself, which is web UI with APIs and so forth, and a scan client. And the scan client is going to look at two distinct things. It's going to look at the source code that you have, and we'll scan for a variety of different languages, and look at the source, hash that up, match that against our knowledge base and say you have or don't have issues, or you've got derivative work. So forks of forks, we can actually detect that. If you've got a vulnerability that's disclosed against something, a specific release, and you forked it, where you forked it relative to where that commit ID that's being patched is, matters. And so we're able to identify that sort of thing as you've got a derivative work. And so the combined solution, the hub piece of scan engine, that's on premise to you or posted in Amazon as the case may be, but owned by you. So we never see your source, which is huge for commercial entities who are building their future on open source.
Excellent. If people wanted more information or they wanted to sign up for services, where would they go?
The best place is to go to blackducksoftware.com.
Tim, blackducksoftware.com. Thank you so much, not only for the interview, but also for saving this week's episode of our show, because your internet connection, your cable, is providing us the bandwidth and the utility that we need to actually move the video files that we recorded all day yesterday up back to the studio.
Awesome. Happy to help out anytime. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I don't know if we've ever bumped into QNAP at a Linux event before. Have we ever bumped into QNAP? I think this is a first, right?
No, this would be a first.
Yeah, all right. So Noah had a chance to chat with the guys that built my NAS, which I'm actually currently in the process of RMAing. But let's see what QNAP had to say.
SCaLE is really the place where you get to put faces to the names of the companies that you're so familiar with. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we did a review of one of the QNAP network storage devices. Chris liked it so much that he ended up actually taking it home with him and decided that was going to be his new primary storage server. And I'm here with Eric, and he's from QNAP. How are you, Eric?
Good, how's it going?
Excellent. So you guys are out here. I don't know, have you been to SCaLE before?
Yeah, this is, I believe, our 6th or 7th year that we've done SCaLE.
Okay. I didn't run into you guys last year, but then again, I didn't understand the fantastic product that you guys made until you sent us one out to review, and then we got a look at it. It's quite incredible. Tell me a little bit about the QNAP for somebody that maybe doesn't know about it.
Okay. Well, we have solutions for home, for small, medium business, up to large enterprise solutions. Well, basically what we're doing at SCaLE is, anybody that's come to SCaLE and seen our solutions, it's storage, it's Linux-based, and you can run containers on it. We also have a bunch of Linux applications for developers out there who want to develop an application. We give you the platform to upload your application and the exposure to give it to a bunch of clients. What we're showcasing here at QNAP is, at SCaLE is QNAP IoT containers. Basically, we're giving, you can use our container station, and with our container station, gives you a gateway, a rules engine, a database, and a dashboard all in one that you can use for, basically, we give the IoT platform for development. So that's part of what we're showcasing, and also just, waving the flag for storage as well.
For sure. Right. Name recognition is everything. So one of the things that really stood out to me about QNAP that really set itself apart from other competitors is that this is not a file server. I mean, it is a file server,
right,
but it's so much more than a file server.
Oh, definitely.
The QNAP itself is basically a mini cloud services box.
Right.
And so you guys have, the ability to run a Plex server. You have the ability to run, downloading services and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about what goes into how you pitch that to customers and how you set yourself apart from your competition. Like, for example, FreeNAS. A lot of people out there would say, "Well, I should just get a FreeNAS box, right?"
Right. Well, we always have that option, but we support our products. We have our tech support team, our marketing team, and if you have any questions, we have a big support team. If anything goes wrong with your FreeNAS, you're kind of on your own. But besides the NAS, you can, it's storage, centralized storage, your own private cloud. You can use it for surveillance. You can use it as your own Dropbox. Also a media player, you can run Plex on it. We used to we used to have Kodi. You could run Kodi on it. Fortunately, now we don't offer that, but you can still download Kodi. You can go back and get an older version of, the latest version of Kodi and upload it onto your NAS. But surveillance as well. There's so much you can do. It's just not just a server box. It's there's so much you can do with it as well.
Are a lot of people using it for surveillance?
Yeah. We also have an NVR product, which is more popular Latin America. We're focusing more on NAS because if you went with our NVR, you're limited to it's just for surveillance.
Sure.
Now we give you the camera licensing purchasing option.
Okay.
So you get the NAS and it comes with camera licenses, and you can get additional licenses as well. And it has all the capability of an NVR as well.
Now, what kind of cameras do I need to use that NVR, the NVR capability of the NAS?
Well, we have a compatibility list of about 3,100 different cameras. Yeah, so pretty much any major manufacturer IP camera out there we're compatible with. If not, if the camera supports OnViv, which is kind of universal software, you can use OnViv as well.
Okay, and does it do like multiplexing? Like I can plug it into a display and see like all 7 cameras up, or is it just recording and archiving?
Yeah, you can multiplexing. You can also see it has different monitor features like motion detection. Different. It's a full-scale surveillance system.
How about a smartphone app? Am I able to log in and see remotely on my smartphone?
Correct. You can also, if the camera has PTZ, you can move the cameras around as well. Yeah.
Wow, that's absolutely fantastic. And what are you guys demoing here on your on the display setup here?
We have our new QTS, which has a couple new updates, our new interface. We have some of our new NAS models here, which as of 6 months ago, we came out with our 51 series, which is our new home series. That has a direct connect option. So it's not just a NAS, you can use it as a DAS as well for like photographers or people who have a bunch of data on their laptop that they just want to transfer stuff over and are limited on say you don't have a network connection right away, you can just plug in your NAS, download the QFinder, and drag and drop all your files directly onto the NAS. So it's a NAS and a DAS as well. And we have a couple of new models that we're showcasing here.
Outstanding. If people wanted to find more information about QNAP, where could they go?
They can go to our website at www.qnap.com, or you can email us at usasales.qnap.com with any questions.
Outstanding. Eric, QNAP.com, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate having you.
Thank you, Noah. I appreciate it.
Wow, just as we come to the end of the interviews, Noah, it looks like SCaLE itself is coming to an end. They're clearing out there.
Yeah, they're wrapping out. They, in past years, the expo hall is they've closed out around 11 noon. This time, all the way to the end of the episode, there's still people here. There's actually a couple people that still are at booths, but most people are packing up and heading out.
Yeah, the thing is, on a Sunday, it's a good time to get out and travel. So, Noah, thank you for making it down there. I regret that I couldn't make it. I'm glad we got a little Linux Action Show coverage. Now, you know what? Now we start prepping for Linux Fest Northwest, which is going to be a huge show. I am so excited. Live show at Linux Fest Northwest. We'll have a booth there. We're going to big. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. So if you're thinking about going, go to linuxfestnorthwest.org to find out the details. And maybe if you can't go to Linux Fest this year, maybe we'll see it at SCaLE next year.
It's the news live from SCaLE, and this episode is brought to you by
Ting. Go to last.ting.com, not only to support this show, keep us on the air, and let Ting know you heard about it here, but to get $25 off a Ting device or $25 in Ting credit. Now, here's the mind-blowing thing about Ting. Bottom line, on average, you're going to pay $23 per device. That's after your minutes, your messages, and your megabytes. So if you think about it, a $25 service credit, that actually makes a big difference. It's going to probably pay for more than your first month. The reason why is Ting doesn't charge you for a whole big batch of minutes, messages, and megabytes ahead of time. You don't have to be a precog and figure out how many of these things you're going to need. I will need 1 gigabyte. I will need 500 text messages. And I sense 30 minutes of phone calls. You don't have to do that with Ting. You just pay for what you use. Minutes, messages, megabytes. You pay at the end of the month. That's it. $6 for the line if you want one device or multiple devices. You want 10 devices. It's $6. It's a great deal. Even if you're a business. In fact, if you're a business, double down on this. You're almost guaranteed with a few lines to start saving money. Who else can compete at $6 a line? Ain't nobody competing with that. Go to last.ting.com to learn more. You can click the What Would You Save button. They have fantastic customer service. Really good stuff. Passionate people that actually work with you, stick with an issue longer than you'd even stick with it yourself. And that really comes through because if you put a family member, a friend, or a coworker on it, you don't necessarily want to play tech support after that. You want to switch them, but then you got stuff to do. That's why really great customer service is key. And then, for those of you like me that just prefer to manage it all yourself, they've got tools that really give you control. Stuff for your phone, stuff for your tablet, and a web app that really works well. Combine that with their customer service, it's a good combo. Then, just to top it all off, you get to pick between GSM or CDMA depending on what works better in your area or what your usage needs are. Last.ting.com to get started. And then, go look at their latest blog about different cord cutting news. This is huge. It's not really Linux related, so we haven't talked about it on the show. But personally, I think this is going to be a game changer. It's a little expensive. And Ting has a whole write-up about it on their blog. But for $35 a month, YouTube TV is going to give you ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, and about 35 other cable channels, including Disney and ESPN and MSNBC and Nat Geo. It's going to be like a whole live streaming DVR. It's you will subscribe to TV shows like you subscribe to YouTube channels in the future. I think it's going to be a game changer. They got a whole write-up about it at Ting's blog. But do me a favor and start by going to last.ting.com.
And a huge thank you to Ting for bringing this episode to you live, because I am right now live on my Ting hotspot.
There you go, man. Very much so, as a matter of fact. So let's talk about the big news there from SCaLE. The new System 76 Galago Pro, which OMG Ubuntu says is a potential MacBook killer. I don't really like that benchmark anymore, but it looks like a really fine machine. Now Noah, we've already kind of covered, obviously, the hands-on and an interview about it, so I don't really have much more to add other than I'm very excited about a Kaby Lake with 32 gigs of RAM. I did want to mention it in the news just simply because it's also what people on the internet are talking a lot about, so big tip of the hat there to System 76. Looks like April, priced around $899. And
Fantastic. And whatever you think you've seen on the internet, it is better in person. My only regret for the new Galago is that they didn't announce this product a couple of weeks ago when I was dumping all of my old machines and upgrading, because it would have been a no-brainer to upgrade to this machine. I mean, hands down. I asked Carl 2 years ago. I asked him point blank. I said, Carl, will you ever offer a 13-inch aluminum Ultrabook, because that is what I need to live my life? And he looked me right in the face and he said no. And when I ran into him this year, as soon as he saw me, he cracked up and started laughing. He's like, yeah, I know what you're going to say. A couple years ago, you asked me and I said no, but it's here now. The world has demanded a 13-inch Ultrabook, and Assistant 76 is here to deliver. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Something else that Mike told me about, because he went to the Superfan event from Mike from Coda Radio, told me that they're working on acrylic cases for their desktop PCs. Did you see? Do they have any of those there at the booth by chance?
You know who designed that? The gal that has like the very well done makeup and always dresses super nice, and she's always in like the videos she's like the PR video girl or whatever. She does all of their creative stuff, and she was actually the one, despite being like a PR person and a creative person, she's the one that actually did like the design of like picked out the case and put everything together and what the
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Like.
Well, she
I can't remember. Kate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Kate.
Yeah,
you guys are really. So she has a really good design sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
They put her in charge of designing the. Yeah. Huh. So it's fantastic.
That's cool. So this is a company that folks like our editor, The Beard, are following pretty closely. A lot of you out there probably heard of Razer before, and they're not known for their Linux support. But Razer's co-founder and CEO has been sussing it out, you might say. Now he hasn't said they're going to provide any official support. So this is not a comparison to System 76, who's a company that's all in on Linux. This is a company that's beginning the phase of dipping their toes, but I still think it's interesting because the CEO on his Facebook page, I guess, I don't know what you Facebookers call it, but he said the Razer Blade series have become the default coding machine for many out there, and one of the most common asks is for us to support Linux on it. We're looking into it, and we're inviting all Linux enthusiasts to weigh in on the new corner on the inside, or which is like their form, to suggest how they could make the best notebook in the world that supports Linux. And I have a link to the corner, quote unquote. Make sure you got to decide, guys, if you want to allow notifications from insider.razorzone.com. Make sure you think long and hard about that. Have you noticed how every damn website in the world wants to send notifications to your? It's just the worst.
I honestly, that came about the same time that my phone keeps trying to update every 5 freaking minutes. So basically, I blame the whole thing on you.
Yeah, okay, fine. That totally makes sense to me. So anyways, if you want to tell Razer why they should support Linux, they've only got 7 pages on this form. That should be 700, guys. So let's make this happen. We'll have a link in the show notes. Let's get Razer to make a Linux laptop. 7 pages, please. Please. You could have 7 pages about what are you listening to right now on a form in 15 minutes. It'd be 7 pages long. Come on! Insider.razorzone.com. Go there. Let's all get fired up about it. All right, I want to talk about Mycroft real quick. You see any Mycroft stuff there? You see any AI stuff there, Noah?
I mean, no, I haven't. I mean, obviously, I ran into Ryan. I said hello to him, but beyond that, no, I've not seen any Mycroft stuff, any AI stuff.
What about those guys over at Canonical? You see any Canonical guys there?
Yeah, there are some Canonical guys. Yes,
crazy guys. I wasn't sure if Canonical could chew gum and walk at the same time, because they're also at Mobile World Congress, which is going on kind of during SCaLE too. They kind of overlap a sense. And Canonical went all in with a huge booth at Mobile World Congress. So I wasn't sure, but that's cool to see that they're there.
It's great that they have wired connections here.
Yeah, okay. All right, Mycroft. Let's talk about Mycroft. They just got a big investment from Jaguar. That's how you say it, Jaguar. Which so the Jaguar car company obviously would be interested in Mycroft because of their in-car computer systems, and they've just landed a strategic partnership with Jaguar Land Rover. The Kansas City-based artificial intelligence startup Mycroft is among the first startups to enter the Portland-based Jaguar Land Rover Tech Incubator, which provided Mycroft with $110,000 in full-time engineering support and investment. Mycroft CEO Joshua said that the company's goal is to see Mycroft tech used in Jaguar vehicles by 2020. He noted that according to JD Power, voice control is the single most complained about feature of a new car, which makes it an opening. You know what, dude? Absolutely. It is It's bad. I just recently got done doing new car shopping with my fiance Hadia, and we tried Hondas. We tried lots of used cars that had like voice control that was just like a couple of years old. Man, it feels like the 90s. Have you ever gotten like in a rental or a car that has voice control? It's
All the time. Yeah, in fact, I've gotten to the point where I actually prefer one-way communication. So I don't mind if the car talks to me, but I don't want to have to talk to it because it will never understand me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So that would be great to see something change.
I think one of the things that I find super frustrating a lot about these is really, really dumb command syntax. So, for example, Hadia has a Ford Focus. My fiance has a Ford Focus, and that has the Microsoft Sync system. I admit it's Sync. It's a Microsoft system, and it's not too bad, but it's like, so you hit the button, and it's got this little talk button, and you can tell it to switch to Bluetooth audio or USB. Not USB audio. And you don't tell it to switch to Bluetooth. So it's Bluetooth audio or USB. And you cannot say just Bluetooth, and you cannot say USB audio. It will not understand you. So you have to say switch to USB or switch to Bluetooth audio. Now, I bring this up because I feel like something like Mycroft might actually be able to bring in some intelligent parsing, sort of like the Echo does and the Siri devices do, to actually have better understanding of what you're trying to say. So Mycroft is tapping natural language processing technology to enable everyday use, they say, in the car. Their natural language processing incorporates computer science, artificial intelligence, and computational linguistics. Double tap on that one. To understand human language as it is spoken. Which kind of sounds like what a lot of these assistants do and would actually make the car stuff better. One other thing about Mycroft before we move on, this might be more applicable to your daily life. Mycroft has gotten a plasmoid. So this is really early day stuff. You're going to have to be running KDE Plasma 5.9. So pretty much, I don't know, what? OpenSUSE and Tumbleweed, Neon, and Arch at this point. But then you can install the KDE Mycroft Plasmoid. It's built on some of the latest technologies, and you're going to hit a wall if you don't have 5.9. But once you have it set up, ladies and gentlemen, you can say, hey, Mycroft, register to my device. You'll pair then with home.mycroft.ai. You'll immediately notice that text is both spoken and displayed on the little widget. And this is just an alpha version, so you'll be able to ask things like, what's the weather? And that's kind of it, actually. That's kind of it.
No, but you know what though? That's a great. I mean, if you look at the amount of time that Mycroft has been around, if you look at the amount of time that we take open source projects and we get them usable and in the hands of people, as compared to some corporation which they announce something, their intentions, and then like 2 years later they announce that progress is going well, and then some conference comes out where they show up but you can't actually have it, and then like a year after that you actually get your hands on it.
Yeah.
Compared to that model,
I kind of tease because I actually think this is sort of a brilliant way to get it in the hands of more people than they can have a hardware device. So you just totally opened up the gates to way more people for testing. More testing also equals more data on their end. That seems like a good thing. Also, it looks like financially, Mycroft is getting interest from other people besides Jaguar too. There could be a real interest in a democratized AI, one that's not tied to Google or Microsoft or Amazon or Apple, and one that is just you could run on your own servers. If you're Jaguar and you can have a data center or two, you could run some really great Mycroft services for the people driving around. And you could see how somebody like Tesla or somebody like that could use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
I kind of wonder if Tesla doesn't have their own, internal team. But at the same time, there's nothing stopping them from taking their own internal team and taking them out. Hey, Zach, how are you? So we gotta take a brief break. This is Zach Underwood. He is the gentleman. We've met him up at Self, runs the network itself, and he's he's here at SCaLE. I assume doing the Wi-Fi. In fact, I have you to thank for cutting off my wired connection about 20 minutes ago. Yeah. Awesome.
Hard cut.
Awesome. Well, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for all the Wi-Fi was excellent. I'm streaming on I'm on my hotspot now, but I was on Wi-Fi and it was working. So thank you very much for all you're doing. Worked out really well. Network is
point your mic at him.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Get him on there. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Is he kicking you out, Noah? Is he kicking you out? Oh, he's leaving.
And one of the things, so the network has been absolutely fantastic, Zach. And the other thing is the wire connection was fantastic, almost better than the network I have at home.
Yeah, so this year we had 250 down, 250 up, and we were able to max it out. We had about 215 down and about 150 up was peak, and we did about due to AV, we did almost as much bandwidth up and down. We did about 1.5 terabytes up and down.
Wow!
Holy crap!
Wow, that's crazy. So tell me a little bit about what went into getting this to work. How long have you been here getting this network set up?
So I actually flew in Sunday morning, which was a week ago, and we got started on Monday morning and been averaging most nights. If we can get to bed by midnight, I'm happy. And most days we've been doing 16, 18 hours a day.
Wow. That's incredible, and you guys, and you're tearing everything down today.
Yeah. Basically, the storage facility closes at 9 p.m., so we have to get everything over there and in storage by 9 p.m. Except we have talks running until 6 p.m.
Wow, so you have 3 hours. What does the hardware layout look like for the wireless system here?
So the wireless system here it uses Netgear 3700 and 3800s, and the switches are HP ProCurves. And we have 40 switches and about 125, 130 access points spread between the two buildings.
And are those stock firmware or those are WWRT?
They run OpenWRT, but we made our own custom firmware for them because the default firmware for these comes with a web UI, no SSH enabled, and a static address of 192.168.1.1. Well, we don't need that. That's crap. So what we did is we made a custom firmware with our SSH keys, and it is also a DHCP client. So when it comes up online, it comes up using static reservations. We know what its IP address is, and then we have a shell script that will push the config down to it using SCP and SSH.
Nice, absolutely wonderful. Well, thank you so much for everything Thank you very much for everything you're doing. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and really appreciate you having you. Thanks for stopping by the booth and saying hello.
Yeah. I tried saying earlier to you, but you couldn't hear me from the catwalks.
So they have up in the ceiling. I guess that's where the access points are?
Wow.
No, that's where the switch and all the cables are coming down. There's actually the thin black cables. You may not see them on camera, but those are drops that come from the ceiling down to the show floor. So we don't have any cabling that leaves these booth areas.
Oh, fantastic!
That's
yeah,
slick.
Actually, now that you mention it, you can actually, if you look real carefully, you can kind of see where that cable just kind of drops down and then goes. So you just have one of those per booth, and it's absolutely fantastic. Well, thank you very much for everything you're doing, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple months.
Yeah, and we got to talk about self.
Oh yeah. Well, absolutely. So what he's referring to is so Altispeed is providing all of the equipment, networking equipment for self. We did last year. We'll do it again this year. So we'll.
We should. I would love to be able to document that about just anything we can of that process. So that's really cool for him to stop by. I like that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you come out here, Noah, for Linux Fest Northwest this year, I think I'm going to have something for us to play with. It's going to be Linux only, and it's something I've waited for years. I'm really excited about our last news story this week. Valve has shipped a developer build of Steam VR for Linux. Straight up Steam, easy for me to say, straight up Steam VR, which is totally in beta right now. Big disclaimer. And I'm not sure how in beta because I don't have one yet. But to me, this is, I think, a pivotal moment. So I can't speak at all now. I'm all excited about streaming and SCaLE and events. There's a couple and VR. There's a couple of big caveats. So that's why... Here's what I'm thinking, is it's going to only work in certain conditions when you have like an i7 processor, a 970 or better video card, and a machine that has the capability of running the latest NVIDIA beta driver, so that way you can get the latest and greatest Vulkan. In fact, just the latest beta driver for NVIDIA is just fixing stuff with Steam VR under Linux. But it's happening now. You have to have NVIDIA, you have to have the beta driver, you have to have something that supports Vulkan, and you have to have some serious hardware performance. There's also some UDEV rules that have to be changed under Linux, which the latest Steam client does change. Mm-hmm. And then once all of these requirements are met and you have the HTC Vive VR headset, You hook it up, and you can start playing games today, like Serious Sam VR, which is now officially on Linux. It's a VR first-person shooter available for Linux. I here's where I stand on VR is I'm pretty much convinced it's going to be a flop, just like sort of 3D has been a flop. Yeah, I kind of am.
I disagree, and I'll tell you. I'll say two things.
God, I hope you're right, dude.
First of all, I think that the first thing is that I'm glad to see that this, to me, is the first evidence we've seen in probably 9 or 10 months that Valve is still committed to Linux, right? Because
yes.
For a while, it kind of seemed like Steam machines were dying off, and they already had all the infrastructure on Linux, so why pull it away? But there's not been a huge monetary investment. This is them, I feel like, putting their foot solidly in the concrete, saying, no, we're not backing down. We are still definitely interested in Linux. And with the Steam box kind of up in the air, that means that they're actually interested in Linux, not just selling a hardware device, which is really encouraging to me.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I tell you why I respectfully disagree with you on VR is once you have used the Vive, and I've only played with some of the other ones, obviously there's the Google Cardboard, and there's the Samsung VR and stuff, and those are kind of cool. They're interesting. Once you take a look at the Vive and you play with that, you experience that, it's so different from anything that you could ever imagine.
Yep.
And I joke all the time that I'm a gamer, but I'm not. And even I would spend $1,000 on the Vive if it were to work on Linux. So,
well, my friend, it is.
I think it might be coming. Yeah.
It is not $1,000. It is $799, and Bitcoin right now is worth $1,1271. So It was 0.4 Bitcoin for me to get an HTC Vive. So that way,
got one.
I did.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I did. I got one because I figured you coming out here for Linux Fest, we could hook it up to Airmaster, and we could actually play around with the HTC Vive under Linux in the studio and record our first impressions.
If it vanishes when coincidentally the same day I leave, it was not me.
I had, if you recall, that I had the Oculus DK2 development kit during that brief period of time where they were still supporting Linux. Because essentially, once a VR manufacturer comes out and says, I raise my hand for Linux, I'm on board, man, because I want this to work. So I got the DK2 when they said Linux, and now I'm getting the Vive when they've said Linux. Yeah, and the 3 months that I played with the DK2 were... It was one of those moments, you're going to hate that I say this, but it was like when I saw the iPhone for the first time, and I said to my friend at work that day, I said, this is going to be the future of all cell phones. Touch screen, all glass, no more physical keyboard. This is going to be the future of phones. It was like that moment when you see something, you go, this is how they're going to do it from now on.
You never had a Trio or a Pre at the time then, huh?
No, I did. I really did. I was all in.
The touch screen? The Pre had no screen.
I had the Q too.
No,
I at the time, I think I was rocking the Moto Q, which was half a screen and a QWERTY keyboard.
Right.
And then I think somewhere in there I also had the BlackBerry, but I knew as soon as I saw that, it was obvious that was the way it's going to be. And it was when I put on the DK2 and I was on a raft in the middle of the ocean. And I'm just chilling in the middle of the ocean all of a sudden, and I actually had a visceral sense moment where I was like, "Holy crap! I feel like I'm on. Oh, people are gonna actually buy this because it's almost like a drug. It's like the way to get a fix. And when you can combine it now with things that are not just gaming, but there's a lot of things like Google has a ton of stuff that's really meant for cardboard, but will also work with the Vive. Mozilla is working on VR stuff, which Noah and I have talked to them about in the past. There's a lot of use cases outside of gaming.
And I'll tell you the biggest use case, and I don't mean to take the show away from something that's family friendly, but I think one of the biggest things that is going to be a game changer for VR is going to be the adult entertainment industry. I think that industry is always looking to get more and more closer to real life, and I think VR, really captures that, and I think that is going to be a huge pivotal thing.
I agree, but
pivotal industry.
I think what that could end up like the mobile VR stuff, like the Samsung VR stuff and the Google Cardboard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's baby VR. I agree. That's baby VR. Yeah. But I think that's the stuff because it's cheap and people already have phones that are capable of doing this. And it's going to be a huge thing over 2017 is Google Daydream or Dayview or whatever they call it, Daydream or whatever. Daydream. That's going to just be built into all future Android phones. Just comes with it, like a crappy VR with. Well, and I also, when I got the Vive, just for comparison's sake, I also ordered. It cost $12 a plastic mold for my Nexus 6P that I put my 6P and then it becomes a VR headset. So I'm going to compare the Vive to that to have more. But I'm telling you, baby VR is what's going to take off. And I think that could, boom, I think that could tank real VR. Because when you see that, you're like, this isn't that great.
You'll have to excuse my ignorance. The Steam VR goggles, these are the HTC Vive?
Yes, sir.
HTC Vive?
Yeah, that's
really?
you got to have which is a great piece of hardware.
So they dropped the price then.
I guess to $799. Like if you consider that dropping $800, that seems pretty expensive for something that then still going to require a ton of graphics. I'm not sure if my
$2,000 computer. Yeah.
I don't know if I think I have like a 960 or a 970. I didn't order a new video card because I mean, come on, I like Bitcoin. I don't want to give it all away on this stuff. Like,
Exactly, yeah.
But I really think like I was just picturing like us as a group hanging out playing VR while we wait for Linux Fest, capturing that. I think I'm very excited because I've been waiting for one of the big VR platforms to come out and say Linux. And I thought it was going to be Oculus, and I'm really glad to see Valve doing this because like Noah's analysis, which I completely concur with, this is, in light of updates on the Steam machines, this is one of the biggest indicators we have seen from Valve that they're still supporting Linux. And that's really what's to be excited about. So we'll give you our full take. We'll try it out. We'll plug it in Linux. Michael Larable from Phoronix has said it's a 2-hour process to set up. The Vive itself is a bit of a process to set up. It's not consumer grade yet, but now we'll have a beachhead. We'll be there following this technology under Linux, letting you guys know how it goes, letting you guys know if it's legit or if it's hype, and that kind of stuff. So I'm excited in that regard. I don't know when it's going to be here, and I don't really know if I want to set it all up on my own or wait till you get here, but either way, we'll have reporting in the show in the near future. Now it's time to dig into some of your great feedback, follow up on the format, and announce our next big meetup aside from Linux Fest Northwest. Before we dive into all of that, I got to thank DigitalOcean for not only supporting this show now for a heck of a long time, but also for being the back-end infrastructure for a ton of the network now. DigitalOcean.com. Use our promo code. Here's the thing. It's all one word, kind of like you're slurring it. Maybe you're intoxicated. Maybe you just don't care. I don't know. DigitalOcean.com. You create the account. You apply it. You get a $10 credit. And you can spin up a Linux rig on their KVM infrastructure in no time with all SSDs, a simple and intuitive API. You can get it up and running in seconds, probably, I don't know. You tell me. People used to tweet me their times. They've stopped. Do it again. Tell me how long it takes. Tweet me your spin-up time. It's probably going to be under 55 seconds, I bet. I think the record was somewhere around 40 seconds at Chris LAS. Let me know your spin-up time. They got 40 gigabit E connections coming into their hypervisors. They have team accounts. You can break down their pricing monthly, or which is my preferred way when I'm just trying things out, hourly. For 3 cents an hour, you can get a hell of a machine at DigitalOcean.com. And they also have a new load balancer system that really makes you look like a boss, makes your infrastructure scale. Lacray. DigitalOcean.com, built-in load balancer. You manage it right through their control panel. Only $20 a month. Man, talk about being able to look slick. Also, check out their great tutorials. They have tons of them, and they're adding more all the time. Go to their community tab. You can click on the tutorial section specifically and dig around in there. You'll be really impressed. Not all of it's necessarily DigitalOcean specific. So if you're kind of shopping, that's a good place to start because you'll get information that's probably relevant to all Linux rigs. And then when you sign up, after you've created your account, apply our code. Here's the thing, all one word, get a $10 credit. Try out that $5 rig 2 months for absolutely free. DigitalOcean.com. Find out why Noah and I have tons of our infrastructure over at DigitalOcean. It just works so dang well. And they got data centers all over the world. So Noah, you're in California. Next weekend is South by Southwest down in Texas, which we will not be at. Although I've surprisingly had a lot of people ask me about South by Southwest. I've never gone. Have you ever been to South by?
Well, I think I went there
once.
One of the first when Alex was back, when Alex was down in Texas. I think the first year he moved, I think I went, but it doesn't have anything to do with Linux.
I know. I'm surprised. I think a lot of tech people go there in general, though. We are going to be in the Austin area in early April. And if you would like to meet up in about the first week of April, we'll have a Telegram group already going right now. I've linked to it on my Twitter feed at Chris LAS. And I'll try to put a link in the show notes. If you are in the Austin area and would like to meet up with Noah and I, we'll be organizing in the Telegram group, and then eventually we'll probably set up an official meetup page at meetup.com/Jupiter Broadcasting. I've never been. I know you've been to Texas. I've never been to Tejas before. I'm looking forward to it. The Austin area, the Round Rock area. There's a company down there you might be familiar with. They make a line of what? Laptops, desktop, what? Yeah, we're going to go down there and do some fun things with Dell in the Austin area. So if you are down there and want to meet up with us while we're visiting Dell, that's the Telegram thread to be in. I'm going to take the RV. We're going to do a whole road trip from Seattle, boop, 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 all the way down to Texas. And then this crazy guy Noah is going to fly in. And if all goes as planned, we will have quite a bit to share with you guys from Austin, Texas area. I think I'm really, really looking forward to it. So I had this great note that came in from Mr. Tane on our subreddit, and I thought this probably applied to your life this week. He says, guys, where are some places that you found other Linux Action Show fans? You know, like normal places or someplace exotic. Recently, I met a last viewer named Justin at a local Smash Burger in Texas. Speaking of Texas, he was wearing a last hoodie with the logo on it, so he walked up and said hi. And apparently he's been a viewer for a long time. So did you see anybody wearing our swag this week?
I didn't see anyone wearing swag, but I've had obviously at SCaLE, I've had a number of people come up to me, tell me they're big fans of the show. I've had people approach me in airports, and I'll just be sitting there working on my laptop. Somebody come and sit down next to me and say, "Hey, I'm a big fan of the show. Really love it." I ran into a last viewer when I was in Amsterdam. So I mean, literally, pretty much anywhere you go, there are last viewers. There are people that are interested in Linux. They are among us. We just. I
saw some photos from the on the Twitter feed because the hashtag SCaLE 15x Twitter hashtag. Boom, hit that. I saw some last swag. I saw some. Noah.
Did you? Okay.
That's why I expected you to say you did because I'd seen it on the tweeters. You know, that's our bad. That is full on our bad. We should have been equipping people with last swag because let's be honest. One of the best ways to meet up with other local. When you go to an area, you don't really know anybody. You want to meet up with folks that are in that same area, know they're like-minded, have something to talk about. When they're wearing last swag, you have the option to start up a conversation. You know, you can talk about Crazy Noah or Crazy Chris, and you guys can rag on us for a good solid 20, 30 minutes or more, I guess. Wait a minute. Let's move on. So one of the things we've been experimenting recently with the show is a different flow, a different sort of format flow where we start with the main topic, the title topic, as it were, of the show right at the beginning, and then we sort of work into the rest of the things. Now, a lot of people have given us feedback, say they really, really like the new format. However, not everybody. It's not been universal. There has been some concern. The most common complaint is it's sort of like eating dessert before dinner. Have you heard that one?
I didn't see that specifically.
Yeah, that's what
a wide variety of different.
I got. It was funny. I was even remarking to the Beard the other day, like the people that are complaining almost universally are saying to me, it's like getting served dessert before my dinner. Totally understand that. But I don't necessarily know if bailing on the new format is the right option. It maybe just means we need to now focus on those other segments. I actually think it's kind of a nice like. Flash, here's what we're talking about. And then the people that stick around, I feel like the remaining segments are a little bit more of like hanging out with friends. It's been a little, I like the feel of the segments after, because to me, the sense has been, we get the main topic over with, and then Noah and I, okay, we're done with what we came here to do. Now let's just have fun, talk about Linux news, talk about cool software. And I kind of am like, so what I'm thinking, and we probably should have talked about this, but you know, crazy week. I'm thinking we stick with the new format for like another 3 episodes and then reevaluate. But I'm liking it so far.
And you know, the other thing is too is I think you know if you're watching the show, you care about the Linux ecosystem, Linux community, and if you want to see that community grow and you want to see that community build, the way we do that is we get eyeballs on the episodes, and the way to do that is to not have people click off the episode because they clicked on something because they wanted to learn about SCaLE, and then they sat through 40 minutes of picks and news and stuff like that. So keep that in mind too. You know, it's something you can tolerate for a little bit. You know. As a means to an end.
And it's not just for drive-bys either. I also think people that are commuting, you know, they see the title of the episode, maybe they only have a 25, 30-minute commute, and then they're over. And then the people who have longer commutes, there's still a lot more show for you. And
great point.
One of the things that I often do when we're kind of on the fence is I ask our patrons at patreon.com/JupiterSignal, the folks that are helping us stay independent, and I say, what do you think? What do you like? And I asked them, should we keep the new last format? And we had 122 votes. 81% said that we should keep it, and 19% said that they didn't like the new format. That's a pretty strong victory. That's 99 votes versus 23 votes to keep the new format. So yeah, we're going to keep the new format for a few more weeks. I don't feel like we've nailed it yet. I feel like we've gotten really close, but everything we do on this show, because the show is a train that never stops. Every single week we ship an episode on Sunday, and that doesn't give us a week to make things right. So we have to iteratively improve as we go, because it's our only opportunity to make it better, both as busy guys that have other things going on, but also as a show that's on a weekly schedule. We just have to iteratively make it better. So I just ask you to trust us, like a year ago or whatever it was when we experimented with audio only, and then we iteration after iteration, we refined that till we're back to where we are now, for better or worse. Hey-o, everybody. Hello, here we are. But we're going to try to do something similar. We're going to work on it, make it iterative, try to make it better, and come up with something that might look a little different than what we have now, but essentially, in the end, should be better, we hope. So anyways, thank you to everybody who voted on the Patreon, patreon.com/JupiterSignal if you want to sign up and get in on future things like that. Or, if you're just stealing the live version of this show and feel guilty about stealing it now for a while and want to go get the official post, you know who you are. Patreon.com/JupiterSignal. All right, let's go do the picks. And now it's time for the picks, brought to you by System 76. Go to system76.com and get a rig built, designed, created for Linux. And also, check out the new Galago Pro 13-inch high DPI monster coming soon, as well as the Oryx Pro, the Gazelle, and the Lemur at system76.com. Go over there, get a desktop or a laptop or even a server. In fact, they showed off a pretty awesome server at SCaLE too. System76.com. And thanks to System76 for sponsoring this segment of the Linux Action Show. Now, speaking of virtual reality, we didn't get a chance to mention augmented reality. Augmented reality, which could maybe be the real winner in the end, was showing off at Mobile World Congress. And this is an augmented reality helmet that runs Linux. The whole damn helmet. It actually runs Ubuntu. It takes the whole HoloLens interface and brings it up to the next level. It runs Snap packages and Ubuntu Core. It's a shiny helmet powered by a 6th generation Intel Core M7 processor. It's got a wide-angle camera with dedicated processors for augmented reality applications. Now, look at this, Noah. So in this graphic, they're like, this guy's looking at pipes. And he's getting real-time temperature readings of pipes that are showing on his heads-up display. It's got transparent displays, which have been ruggedized for industrial environments, and high brightness for easy use outdoor. It's got an integrated RGB camera with stereo infrared cameras with an infrared light projector. They work together to intuitively allow the helmet to infer depth. I could kind of see this.
It looks like that is really the finalization of what I had always hoped my Google Glass would be, right?
Yeah.
Like this idea that we just integrate technology and information into daily life and to make daily life better.
I think this, to me, seems like it would have the most practical industry application, yes, like in enterprise and large businesses, at refineries. But even like, I was picturing, imagine, oh my God, just imagine like walking into like a wiring closet, putting on this helmet, and all of a sudden all the wires are traced and labeled. I mean, somebody else would have had to done the work, but just imagine like being able to look at the wire and knowing like everything about that Cat 5 cable. How amazing that would be.
Even simpler than that, even just walking into a building and knowing that Wi-Fi is available and knowing that you're connected to the internet, something like that. And I can look and say, they say, well, the internet's down. I walk into a building. You know how many times I get a service call to go to a building because the internet's down, and I walk in and in fact the internet's up. And that involves like going in, taking out your laptop, open it up, connect. Imagine if that was just available right when I walk in, so I could just walk in and say, hey, just to let you know, network's back up, everything's working fine.
So it's called the Daiquiri Smart Helmet. I'm assuming Daiquiri, DAQRI, the Daiquiri Smart Helmet, and it's powered by Ubuntu. That's a pretty cool application, just coming off speaking about VR. Now, you ready to kill Google Docs? Because everything's got to be a killer. Remember, we got to kill.
Yes.
We got to be a killer. Yes. Okay. So Standard Notes, which is a collaborative back end and front end. I'll get into this in a second, but flow with this for a second. At this stage, it's a proof of concept collaborative text editor with end-to-end encryption whatever that happens to mean. And you just simply share the URL with anyone you want to collaborate with. But Noah, prepare your body because it's a full-on markdown editor. It is meant for collaborative, real-time, encrypted markdown editing. It uses this thing called Colab-Editor, which is an experimental real-time collaborative editing backend. And it uses standard notes, which is the front end. And you can just throw it up on your own server. And then you just toss somebody a URL. And next thing you know, you are a mess in Markdown. I mean, look at this. It's got color coding. Nice. I mean, this is some legit Markdown support here. That would at this
absolutely.
Look, it's even got fancy table support, which not all standard Markdown does. And then it's got this really crazy URL which you could share with people, or you know, and if you host it yourself, it would be on your own domain, and then it generates this long token URL, kind of like a Google URL, which are kind of unique. Anyways, I just wanted to mention this as a pick, just simply because for those of you that are looking to replace Google Docs like we are consistently, and you do write in Markdown, it's so nice to have an application that actually supports this. So, and then it says down on the bottom, so you know it's real, encryption status, : end to end. Okay. I like those things. I'm assuming it's good encryption. Thankfully, it is all open source, and it is all up on GitHub, if you're curious about that. All right, you ready for our distribution of the week? It's fresh. It's new. It's out as of just a week ago. It's called ZenWalk. ZenWalk, which came out on a little bit more than a week ago now, February 22nd. Now, this is a nice, slick build with GTK3 support. Firefox is looking good. They got also in there the latest GStreamer patch for a GStreamer bug that came out recently. But what is it? Why do you care? Because it's a fancy schmancy desktop built on top of Slackware. Slackware. Yeah, if you want to try out Slackware and you want an actual usable desktop that looks modern, has GTK3, has the latest Firefox, has the latest FFmpeg, MPV, and GStreamer, and you want it for some reason, try out Slackware, which I still to this day have not bothered to try out. It's the only distro I haven't. And now it's just almost a point of pride. Like, now I feel like when I try out Slackware, it's going to be a moment. And I don't think...
You know what the great thing about Slackware is? They don't care if you try.
No, I know. They just don't. They don't at all. They don't care at all. But, you know, people want a refuge from those crazy new technologies like Systemd. You can check it out, ZenWalk, with a current release. Get the latest and greatest. Also, I think they have. There might be a way to get Chromium in there. I'm not sure. And the desktop looks pretty good, although I'm over docs. But they do have a hell of a transparent window on that terminal. Hell of a transparent window, which probably going to get them a few downloads. Anyways. Slackware, everybody. Have you tried Slackware? No, have I ever asked you that?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Slackware was, I think, I guess it would be the second distribution I ever tried. I started on Red Hat. I went to Slackware to see what it was like. I couldn't get a graphical interface. This is, back in the late 90s.
What? How does that work? How do you end up on Slackware? I mean, like, there was Debian.
There was a guy I added on MSN Messenger that knew about Linux, and so he was like my go-to person to ask questions. And I told him that I installed Red Hat and I've been using it for a couple months and I was really happy with it. And he said, "No, really, man, what you need to do is you need to use the Slackware." Well, at the time, you put Slackware on these floppy disks, you put them in, you installed it, and you had just a text-based environment.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know how to get beyond that. And I was like, well, I'd rather have the graphical one, so I guess I'll go back to Red Hat. So I didn't know that there was a graphical interface. So yeah, it was like the second distribution I tried. But yeah, and here's what I always tell people that haven't used Slack, and I've looked at it since then. Maybe we should do a review. But I always tell people when they list the things they don't like a Slackware, when's the last time you've tried it? Because it has changed a lot. They have, a repository now, and yeah, it's gotten much better.
Well, that could be a good way to dip your toe in. You never know, right? That could be a good way to try it out. We'll have a link in the show notes. ZenWalk GNU Linux if you want to try it out. With GTK multi-threading enabled by default, as it says in their little pitch. It's good, though. It's good. It's all good. I don't mean to say little. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to give me a hard time for not using Slack. Or, get ready for this one. I also like Nano. What? Does he even know how to Linux? Let me know. @ChrisLAS if you want to interact with me. No, where do people find you?
I am at on Twitter at Kernelytics, and I use Vim. It's particularly useful if you want to generate a random string. Just set a non-Vim experienced person down in front of it and tell them to get out of Vim, and then so you have a random string.
How do I? You can also follow the network at Jupiter Signal for news about shows, releases, changes, things like that. And jupiterbroadcasting.com/contact if you want to send us in your feedback. linuxactionshow.reddit.com. If there was something content-wise you didn't hear us cover this week and think we should know about it, or something that maybe you'd like to suggest we cover, an open source project that could use a little love, or please, a distro that's worth spotlighting, linuxactionshow.reddit.com. You can find all of the other good things like stories that didn't make it into this show also listed there. It's a very active subreddit with, geez, Noah, do you have a guess how many people are on that subreddit? Do you have a guess? It's something like
10,000.
Yeah, it's
20,000.
something like 10,000 people that are over there these
really?
days.
I was making that up. Wow.
Yeah. 10,850 Linux users over there. Oh, look at that. They got a picture. There's a picture of the new System 76 rig. Look at people over there. So nice. So you can also submit content and things like that at linuxactionshow.reddit.com. Last but not least, I'd like to invite you to join us live on Sundays. We're back to our regular live schedule. Get it converted to your local time at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar and watch it at jblive.tv. Okay, thanks so much for tuning this week's episode of the Linux Action Show, and we'll see you right back here next week. Safe travels, Noah!
I found out what the limit. I found my limit. My limit is something around like 50 hours. Apparently, I can't do 50 hours without sleep. My body just like shuts down, and then it's like, no more. Like you have to sleep, even if LAS is going on. You have to sleep.
No, it's so much worse than that. It is so much worse than that. You don't even know yet. So it's going to be life changing for you because you're going to have to struggle with one of your core things. It's key for you. So here's what's happening. I'm just going to tell you now because I've been there. I've been through this journey. You are beginning a transition period where your body's not going to be able to do this all the time. But because I'm now telling you this, you won't accept it because I'm saying you can't do something. So then you're going to have to go up against So the real struggle you are about to face is the struggle that somebody said you can't do something, therefore you must do it. You will have to lose that battle before you accept the fact that your body's telling you can't do that kind of sleep thing anymore. I predict that. That's my prediction for you. That's my prediction for you.
I know it's bad. See? This is what's happening. Hi guys.
Hi guys.
How are you? How's Black Duck Software? Awesome. We are streaming. That's my co-host. He's waving. Yeah. You guys don't happen to have a network cable, do you? God, you are amazing.
What?
Oh, it's even connected. I don't know if you want me to stay here for a long time though. Let's see how long this will take. Okay, we're gonna set this up. Look, Black Duck Software, everyone. Black Duck Software. These guys are about to save the show.
Are we gonna lose you when you switch over connections? Possibly. We just lost him. Did I call that or did I call that?
So it was interesting. So I was on as probably going to become public fairly quickly as I was not at the studio last week. I was actually out with my wife celebrating my 10th anniversary. She didn't know it, but we went to Tokyo, and so I spent some time in Tokyo and Kyoto. But one of the interesting things on a 10-hour flight, Air Canada bans the use of Bluetooth headsets, right? And so
that's barbaric.
So one of the things I saw was a bunch of iPhone 7 users that were sitting there like doing one of these numbers, like kind of half watching their phone, half listening. Yeah. And so like, and in an airplane, it's very difficult to hear to begin with, and so they had to push it like kind of right against their ear. And so you saw people like listening to podcasts, and of course they're not doing it for very long. And then eventually they would relegate to spending $4.99, $5.99 on the in-flight entertainment system, but. It was just kind of interesting kind of watching, like, if you don't have the little dongle to be able to connect the headset.
What was that?
I don't know. Something broke.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, now I got a burp. This is what I get. See how I waited? Right? I mean, come on. All right, here we go.
That was good showmanship. Nice.
I got a lot of burps in me. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It just means we're time to do the next segment. That's all.
Okay, you ready to do the news? I am recording. Hey Noah, I know you've flown all over the country and back, but if you could just quit screwing around so we could do the show now. I don't know.
No problem. My apologies. Hey, you know what? Legitimately, today's the one day where you can where that's legitimately true. Like I have cost us about, well, About an hour and a half, actually.
It's all right. It's
All right, here we go.